All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to, what day is today? Thursday? Thursday? Okay. So not a lot of people here, so we're going to do a very quick quiz, probably only for a point or two, but we're going to do it anyway, all right? So I'm going to ask you to just message me your answers in Microsoft Teams.
Personal chat.
What's that?
Personal chat or...
Yeah, just use the personal chat thing, and you can message me. Are you ready?
Wait,
Okay. 30 seconds. Good morning. Log into Microsoft Teams, King.
Yeah.
Quick click a bunny. Everybody, Fatswa, you ready? Almost. Yo-ya, you ready? Almost. Jen, you ready? Felicia? Not yet? Okay. Kang, you almost there? You're almost sat down? You gotta be quick. So log into Microsoft Teams and get ready to message me. Do a personal chat or personal message to me. Okay, here we go. Question number 1. What is your name? What is your name? There is a right answer to this, of course. What is your name? Question number 2. What should question number 2 be? What's the kind of yesterday in class, what was the kind of main thing that we were talking about? Okay, so question 1 was what is your name? Question 2 was what was the kind of main idea we were talking about yesterday? Number 3, who's the best teacher at Columbia College? There's also a right answer to this question. I'm sure you all will choose wisely. Sure you all will choose wisely. And I think that's it. Answer those 3 questions, your name, the general thing we were talking about yesterday, and who the best teacher at Columbia College is, hint, hint. And then you'll just send that to me in a chat, and then you're good to go. Okay? And while you're finishing that, I will begin, okay? So, good morning. Welcome to Thursday. I'm going to say hello to some people. So Arya's here. So good morning, Arya. Shota's here. Good morning, Shota. I think this is Nancy. If it is, let me know. Good morning, Nancy. Or maybe it's not. I'm not sure. What? Oh, it's Kwan. Sorry, Kwan. Oh, that's right, because you're at home. Okay, sorry, Kwan. Hello. Good morning. So I forgot that you were going to be online. That's why I was confused. Kayla's here. Good morning, Kayla. Ariane is here. Good morning. And that is everybody. Okay. So let's jump into where we were yesterday. We were talking about hunting and gathering, right? Because hunting and gathering was kind of the sorry, I'm going to skip by that. Hunting and gathering was our original subsistence strategy as humans. We hunted and we gathered for literally hundreds of thousands of years, right? And really only recently have we started to do other things like keep animals or farm or shop for food at Save On Foods. right? That's a very recent development. Most of our history has been spent hunting and gathering, right? And so I kind of laid out a bit of a difference with hunter-gatherers because some have a very simple way of getting their food and some have a more complicated way. And so our friends the Hadza were simple foragers. They moved around a lot. They didn't have a lot of things. They didn't own a lot of stuff. They didn't store any of their food. They just kind of moved around, collected or hunted what happened to be there, and then they would move on, right? Kind of a very simple way of gathering your food. But as we saw in the video, or maybe as you can imagine from the video we saw, it's a pretty effective way to make your living, right? And certainly us humans survived for a few 100,000 years that way, so it's pretty workable, right? Or at least it was in the past. But some parts of the world have lots of food resources available. They have lots of different types of food, and it allows some foragers to create a more complex subsistence strategy, right? Good morning. One where they store more food, they have more stuff, they live in bigger groups and stay in one place for longer, sometimes a few months at a time. And they can create social hierarchies in their society, right? So simple foragers everybody tends to be an equal member of the team. Complex foragers, sometimes they have people with more power and people with less. But we said that today foraging is kind of not really the way that people make their living anymore. The ones that are left, the hunter-gatherers that are left, are kind of, have been pushed to the margins. Some of them are living in areas that are just not really good for farming, not really good for agriculture. And so there are still some people hunting and gathering, but most people don't, right? We get our food from farming. Was everyone okay with that kind of idea? Yeah? Okay. Because I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk about one of the skills that I would like us to develop in this course, okay? And it's important for a number of reasons, but we're also going to use this skill in an assignment that I will probably give you later today, okay? So this is important to pay attention to for a number of reasons, okay? When I say critical thinking, though, what do you guys think about? What comes to mind? It's doing what related to the question? Okay. Okay, so it's directly related to the question. Well, what else is critical thinking about? Or what? Something you need to think hard about? Yeah? Felicia?
Like when you're saying about the understanding.
Okay, so like you need to come to a decision about something? Yeah. Tricky, right? We've all heard of critical thinking before, right? But the question is like, what is it? Right? What is this thing? Well, let me help you out a little bit here. Even if we can't explain it, I will help you, okay? So critical thinking has to do, like at the very ground level, it has to do with beliefs. And so for Yoya and Kang, I apologize, you've heard this before, but it's still worth doing again, right? This critical thinking is about evaluating beliefs, right? The beliefs of ourselves and the beliefs of others, because our beliefs, whether you kind of think about it or not, those are the ones that kind of guide us through our life, right? Who here, for instance, wants to go to university or college or some other thing after we're done high school here? Yeah, just about everybody, right? And why on earth would you do that? Haven't you had enough school? Can you even remember a time in your life when you weren't in school and now you want more school? Are you crazy? What is wrong with all of you? Why do you want to do more school? Because you need a degree? Why? It's the rules. Good morning. It's the rules? What do you mean?
Because if you get high degree, the job can earn more salary.
Okay. So if you get a degree, you'll be able to get a job that will get you a higher salary, right? There's a belief right there, right? Why else might you want more education?
Make you look more professional.
Make you more professional? To make you more professional or to make you
Look like more
seem more professional?
Yeah, seem
Okay.
more
I have 3 degrees. Clearly, it didn't work. But, okay. So it'll make you more professional. What else? Why else might you want more schooling after high school? What's that? Okay, you might. Yeah, it might be kind of personally satisfying for you to know more, right? To educate yourself. Yeah, right? And maybe kind of, getting that education will lead to a better quality of life later on, right? Not only more money, but maybe a career that you actually enjoy, right? Maybe you'll have opportunities to do things that you might want to do in your life, right? And that's kind of that's the belief that we're working from, right? If we continue on, if we get more education, it will lead to a career that we enjoy or that we find satisfying, and that will give us a better quality of life in the future, right? That's what we believe, I think, right? And whether that's right or wrong, and I think it's right, whether that belief is correct or not, if you believe it, it's kind of steering you down the path, right? If you didn't believe that more education would give you a better quality of life, would you do it? No, right? You'd be like, ugh, I've had enough of this school thing, right? 12 years? I'm wasting my life, right? I need to get out there and live, damn it, right? But again, we don't believe that, right? We believe that education will give us a better quality of life, give us more money, give us better career options, and so we're going to do it, right? And so because those beliefs have an important impact on our life, because they kind of steer us one direction or another, it's a good idea to know, to be able to evaluate beliefs, right? Are they true or not? Should we believe them, right? Because again, if we don't have the right beliefs, or not the right beliefs, but if we have beliefs, if we believe things that are not true or not accurate, those might lead us to a bad place, right? So we need to be able to evaluate these things critically. And I think there are a lot of people who do not really know how to do this, to be honest. And so it's a very important skill, and it's a skill that a lot of people lack and shouldn't. And I would go so far as to say you can't lack this skill anymore, right? You can't just accept what people tell you, because people will lie to you or give you false information or try to convince you of things for their own purposes, and we need to be able to think for ourselves, right? So, critical thinking is not about what we believe, it's about whether what we believe is worth believing, right? Is it true? Is it accurate? And so, how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to look at the reasons for which somebody says something is true, okay? So, I'm going to jump through this here. We can only sort of critically think about things that people directly tell us, right? That people make a clear statement about, right? So, for instance, I can say, there is no God, right? It's a very clear statement. Or I could say, there is a God. We could think critically about that as well. But we can't think critically about, is there a God? Right? That's a question, right? That's an open question. We can talk about it, right? We can debate it if you want, but we can't really think critically about that question because there's no argument there. There's no statement, right? We need an argument. And again, I don't mean the argument you have with your parents or your siblings. I mean a properly constructed, logical, academic argument, okay? So arguments are usually trying to say that something is or isn't true, right? Something is or isn't the case, right? And so before we get into this, the last thing I'll say here is this is an important skill, right? Not only because, yes, there's a lot of misinformation out there, there's a lot of fake news, there's a lot of people, even on the news itself, and I'm looking at Fox News, by the way, saying things that are just outright lies, right? They are outright wrong. And there are people that do not know how to tell the difference between fact and fiction, right? And it's dangerous, right? And we have to be careful about that. But it's also a useful skill in your life, right? If you go into an academic field in science or social science or whatever you do, academics make arguments all day long, right? They're trying to convince other scientists that, they did this experiment and this is what it means, right? If you become a lawyer, any future lawyers in the room? Think about it, they get paid really well. Really well. What's that? There are different kinds of lawyers. We have lawyers for Columbia College here. Sometimes we need some law advice. And I've seen the bills that they send us. Man, I think I made the wrong career choice. Because I look at the bill they send and I was like, oh, I should have studied law. What's that? It's never, well, I think it's too late.
Yeah, this is the exam, and you got stuff.
Yeah,
And you didn't pass.
I'm good. I'm good. I think it's too late for me. Plus, I never really dreamed of being a lawyer, so.
Did you wear white?
Huh?
Did you wear white?
Well, I don't know. It's just when you look at, when you look at the numbers, you're like, wow, I screwed up. But anyway, lawyers make arguments all day long, right? No, my client did not murder this person, Your Honor, and here's why. And if they have a good argument, then their client will be successful, right? So even if you're working, later on and you want a raise, right? You can't just tell your boss, hey, I want a raise, give me more money. Why should I do that? Well, because I want more stuff, right? That's not a good argument. You have to be able to tell your boss, look, I want more money, and here's why. Here's why you should do this, right? You have to be able to make an argument. And the better your argument is, the more likely, hopefully, you'll succeed, right? So, what an argument is, again, is not a fight. It's not a fight with siblings. It's a collection of statements. One is a conclusion. It's the thing that the person wants you to believe or that you want someone else to believe. And then there's premises. These are ideas that support that conclusion, okay? So, yeah, we usually have a conclusion and it's supported by premises. Sometimes there's one premise, sometimes there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10, whatever it is, but they all support the conclusion, okay? So, I'm going to give you an argument here, and again, I apologize to Kang and Victoria and Yoya, because you've heard this argument before. I was on the train, I meant to come up with another, like a different argument, but I forgot. So it's the same one. But I could come up with another one maybe for next time. So here's a very simple argument that I could make to you, okay? Very simple. My argument is that you all should drink coffee, okay? That's the conclusion of my argument. You should drink coffee, all of you. And as good critical thinkers, you're always going to want to ask, well, why? Why should I believe that, Mike? Why should I believe what you tell me, right? What are your premises? What's your support, okay? And so if I just leave it, if I just say, hey, I think you should all drink coffee, that's just an opinion, right? I have no supporting reasons why you should believe it. That's just my opinion, and your response to me should be, well, thanks for your opinion, right? There's nothing to really be done with it, right? It's my opinion, but for you, it's kind of useless, right? You need an argument. I need to make an argument, so I will. You all should drink coffee, okay? Well, why should we do that, Mike? Why should we believe you? Well, you should all drink coffee because it is delicious, it is inexpensive, and it will stimulate your brain and help you study and get good grades. Okay? Those are my 3 premises, and I'll put them up there so we can keep track of them. Okay? It's a very simple argument. It's not a perfect argument, but we'll get there. Good morning. It's not a perfect argument, but we'll get there. This is my very simple argument. Okay? It's got a conclusion. It's got 3 premises. Now, I've given you this argument, but of course the next step is we have to evaluate it. We have to figure out if this is actually a decent argument or not. Okay? And we're going to do it in 2 ways. Again, if you wind up taking a philosophy class, you will go on to more complicated things, but this is just ground level. So we're going to look at 2 things. First, we're going to look at the premises and see if they are logical support for the conclusion. Okay? The second thing is we'll look and see if the premises are actually true or not, but one thing at a time, okay? So, do the premises logically support the conclusion? Let's look at the first one. I said that you should all drink coffee because it's delicious. Now the question here is something being delicious a reason why someone might drink coffee? They wouldn't drink it if it was delicious? Based on their taste. Okay. So it's true. People have different tastes. Who in here actually likes the taste of coffee? Okay. Yeah. And who here is not a fan? Not a fan? Okay. So it's true, right? Some people have different tastes. Some people like it, some people don't. But do people drink things because they like the taste of them? No? You don't like the taste of that? That iced coffee? What's that? You chose the wrong one. Oh, you got ice cap. Okay. Victoria, are you drinking that because you like the taste of it? Mahmoud, are you drinking that because you like the taste of it? Yeah. I'm drinking this because I like the taste of it. It's vodka. No, I'm just kidding. It's not vodka, people. There's no alcohol. There's no alcohol. Yeah, people often drink things because they like the taste of it, right? And if we turn it around the opposite way, if people don't like the taste of something, they generally avoid it, right? Unless they absolutely need to drink it, like, maybe it's medicine or something. So, might someone drink something because it's delicious? Yeah, right? Again, it might not be delicious for you, but press pause on that for a second. Yeah, people might drink something because it's delicious, right? So this is kind of logical support for my conclusion. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but we'll get there. My second premise was that coffee was inexpensive. Is that a reason why someone might drink coffee? Maybe. Not on its own, right? People don't just drink things because they're cheap, right? Well, sometimes you do, right? If water is cheap, it just comes out of the tap. But if we turn it around, would I drink this if it was really expensive? If it was like $40 to fill this thing every day, would I drink it? No. I don't know how much you think I get paid, but I guarantee you it is not that much. I cannot afford $40 coffees every day. I'm not a Kardashian, right? So people might not drink something purely because it's cheap, but if it was really expensive, they probably wouldn't drink it, right? So is this logical support for my conclusion? Yeah, I think it's okay, right? It doesn't, again, it's not bulletproof. It doesn't guarantee that someone will drink something just because it's cheap, but it helps, right? It helps that it's inexpensive. Let's go to the last one here. It will stimulate your brain and help you study and get better grades. Is that a reason why somebody might drink coffee? Definitely, right? And I'm sure we've all heard about people, having coffee before they study all night or before an exam. And some of us have probably done that very thing, right? So, yeah, is it a reason? Is it logical support from this conclusion? Yeah, it's absolutely a reason why someone might drink coffee. Okay? So I've got three conclusions that are, or three premises that are logical support for the conclusion. Let's go to the second part. Are they actually true? So, my first premise was, it is delicious. Is that a true premise? Not for everybody, right? Mahmoud says no, not true for him, right? True for me, maybe true for some students in the room here, but not everybody, right? So, my premise isn't 100% true. Is it mostly true? Do you think it's true for many people? Or maybe even most people? Chen's kind of like, maybe. Hard to know, right? Hard to know. How could I prove it to you somehow? How could I prove to you that coffee is delicious? What's that? Any research? Okay. Where would I find that data, or how would I create it? Okay. Questionnaire, right? I could do a survey. Well, I did do a survey in this room, right? I said, who likes the taste of coffee? That's not very big, though. I could send an email to all students in Columbia College and say, hey, oh, no. Why would I do that? Instagram poll, right? Instagram poll is very easy to do. Send it out to all your followers. Say, hey, who's a coffee fan? Hell yes or hell no, right? And people can just very easily click, right? Very simple, but I could generate some data. And then if it came back that maybe 85% of people like coffee, the taste of coffee, that'd be pretty good, right? The premise isn't 100% true, but we could say that. Coffee seems to be available everywhere you go, yes? Pretty much every restaurant, every, cafe, every workplace, if you go into their little kitchen, do you think there's a coffee pot there? 100% there is. So it seems to be pretty popular. So people probably like the taste of it. So is this premise kind of mostly true? Yeah, I think it probably is. Doesn't mean it's 100% true. There are people who don't like the taste of it, but I think it's mostly true. And I could probably provide you with some data to support that, right? What about the second one? I say it's inexpensive. Is that true? What's that? Okay. Depends on the kind. Like most things, you can spend as much money as you want. Yeah, is it inexpensive? How could we determine this? How could I prove to you that it's inexpensive? I could do what? Yeah. Can everyone afford it? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, right? I'm sure that if you're homeless and you have no money, you probably can't afford it. But for most of us, I think coffee is within reach, right? Here, I made my own at home. It's fairly inexpensive. I think it probably costs me, 40 cents or 50 cents a day. I think that's pretty reasonable. I think that's pretty inexpensive. How can I prove it to you for sure? I said already, do the math, right? Maybe I could make a graph, right? I could say, well, the same amount of Coca-Cola costs like $1.50 or $2, right? My coffee cost me 40 cents, right? Cheaper. Yeah, I could collect some data, right? I could do a little graph. I could show you that it's inexpensive. Again, it's not 100% true. If you have no money, yeah, it might be expensive, but it's pretty much true, I think. What about the last one? It'll stimulate your brain and help you study and get better grades. Is that true? It is true? How do you know? Okay. There's some scientific research out there, probably is, right? A scientist fed a bunch of coffee to students before the exam. Some got the coffee, some didn't, and then they saw how they performed, right? I'm sure there's science out there. I could probably dig up some of that research and show it to you, right? I actually don't know what the science says, but I assume it says that. So if I did that, is that a true premise? Okay, good deal. So I have three premises here. They are all logical support for the conclusion, and they're all true or kind of mostly true, okay? Now I'm going to add in one more premise here, okay? So it's delicious, it's inexpensive, it'll give you, it'll stimulate your brain and help you study. And my fourth premise is going to be, and the beans are from Colombia. Fourth premise. Okay? Now, let's evaluate that. Is that premise true? What's that? It's true for me, but not true for everyone? Sure, right? So coffee beans are grown all around the world, right, in different countries. I think like the stereotypical country is Colombia. I think the coffee plant actually originates in South America, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that either. But coffee beans do come from Colombia, yes? That's a true statement, right? But is that a reason why someone might drink coffee? Probably not, right? Maybe if you're Colombian and you have a lot of Colombian pride and you're like, yes, I'm going to drink my Colombian coffee, right? Maybe. But for most people, you know, I don't know where the beans are grown for this coffee. I don't much care, to be honest. That's not why I drink it, right? I drink it for other reasons. So again, we can add a premise here, which is true, but it's not really a reason why someone might drink coffee. So it's kind of a weak premise. It's not really helping the argument. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not very helpful. So I'm going to chuck it. I'm not going to include it in my argument. It's not helping the situation. Okay? What kind of coffee am I drinking? Say that one more time. Oh, yeah. Sure. I'm just drinking regular drip coffee, and there's a little bit of cream in it. That's it. So it's nothing fancy. Sometimes I enjoy a cappuccino or a latte. Sometimes I'll have an Americano. Sometimes I'll have a flat white. Sometimes I'll just have regular old coffee. What's that? With mocha? Oh, sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I think we could probably include it in there. Oh, okay, so you're on board now? Right. Yeah, and some of it is quite heavy, right? Very bold, and yeah, the flavor is quite strong, right? Okay, so here I have an argument. We have assessed it, and we found that all of the premises are logical support for the conclusion, and they are all true or true-ish. Now, does that mean you should accept my argument? No? Why not? I made a good argument. Come on.
But you said it is delicious. But I didn't try it, and it's not good.
Okay. So there's a personal opinion here, right? One of my premises is based on the fact that you will find it delicious. And what if indeed you drink it and you're like, gross, right? I don't like it. That's going to override my argument, right? You're going to look at this and you're going to say, okay, Mike, you've made a logical argument here, but I really don't like it. Doesn't taste good to me, gross. End of story. Yeah, because my premise is based on kind of your opinion a little bit. It can be disputed. Why else might you reject my argument? Why else might you say, no, I'm not doing this? It makes you? Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't really talk about the idea that coffee might be addictive, right? Some people might be concerned about becoming addicted to their coffee, right? And they might say, no, I'm worried that this is addictive. I don't want to get into this. No, right? I didn't talk about that at all in my argument. Good point. What else? What else did I not talk about? Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. So, drinking coffee, might that disrupt your sleep patterns? Might, right? Some people can have, a big cup of coffee and then just go have a nap, right? But other people, it'll mess with their sleep, right? And so they might say, yeah, you've made a good argument here, Mike, but every time I drink coffee, I can't sleep at night and I really need to sleep. So no dice, right? I'm not doing this, right? So there's a bit of kind of personal experience, right? I didn't talk about that. What else? What else did I not talk about? Oh, right. Coffee can stain your tooth enamel, right? And so some people might say, no, I don't want to drink coffee because I don't want my teeth stained, right? I didn't talk about that at all. Good argument, Mike, but I like my teeth white, so not drinking it. You could just drink it with a straw. What else? Okay. Some people might not enjoy the smell, right? So they might say, I'm not drinking this, I think it stinks. That probably goes along with the taste, but taste or smell for sure. What else? Anything else? Is coffee healthy? Is it good for you? No? Depends? Yeah. I think it's a bit of a gray area, right? There's studies that say that coffee is not that great. Some studies say that it doesn't make a difference. Some studies say it's good for you. Who knows, right? So, but some people might be concerned about the health effects of coffee, right? And they might say, I'm concerned that this might not be good for my health. You haven't really talked about that, Mike, and therefore I'm not going along with your argument because I think I'm concerned about the health effects of this substance, right? Sure. Anything else? No? Some religions have a prohibition against drugs or alcohol, right? And caffeine basically operates like a drug. It's a pretty soft one, right? It's a soft drug, and it's a very socially acceptable one. But still, some religions might say, no, my religion says no drugs, no alcohol, therefore cannot have it, right? So I can make a great argument, but their religious rules will kind of overrule this, right? So as you can see here, I have an argument. I've made it. It's not perfect, right? It's not bulletproof. There's a lot of things I haven't talked about, like health or addictiveness or teeth staining or anything like that. But I do have a reasonable argument here, right? And that's kind of the goal, is to be able to understand when people are making a good argument and whether we should believe it or not, right? And so, again, you might look at my argument and you might say, yeah, these are all good reasons for me to drink coffee, right? Or you might say, actually, there are other things that I think are more important that, Mike, you haven't addressed here, right? So I don't accept your argument. I'm much more concerned about the health effects, the addictiveness, and the staining of my teeth, right? Those are far more important for me. And so I'm not going along with this. Doesn't mean I have a bad argument. It just means that people find things of different importance. Right? So far, so good? So far, so good? Okay. Yeah, so let's go. Oh, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Let's do this. Okay? Now, here I have 5 examples of very simple arguments. Okay? Some of them have 1 premise, some of them have 2, some of them have 3, but they're all very simple arguments, and they have something they want to convince you of. Okay? So let's look at the first one here. Because assault rifles, the ones that go brrrr, because they have no peaceful civilian use, the Canadian government should ban assault rifles. What are we being asked to believe here? What are we being asked to believe? I can barely hear you. Okay, so assault rifles have no peaceful use. If that's the conclusion, ask yourself the next question, why should I believe that? Doesn't work, right? Yeah, so always ask yourself the question, why should I believe that? Right? So Victoria here misidentified the conclusion. Sorry, Victoria, but that's okay. Actually, it was a good example. So misidentified the conclusion that assault rifles have no peaceful use. Why should I believe that? Well, because the government should ban them. That doesn't work. Switch it around, right? If the conclusion is the Canadian government should ban assault rifles, why should I believe that? Well, because they have no peaceful civilian use. Right? There's no peaceful way to use these weapons. Does that make sense? Yeah, right? So we have a conclusion and we have one premise, right? That is a reason why the government should ban these things. Let's look at number 2 here. The Globe and Mail. Globe and Mail is a national newspaper here in Canada. I don't even know if they print anymore. I haven't seen a paper version of the Globe and Mail in a long time, but you can read them online. Good newspaper if you want to keep up on Canadian stuff. The Globe and Mail's report on business says that people should invest heavily in stocks. Therefore, investing in stocks is a smart move. So, what are we being asked to believe here? What's the conclusion? You should invest in stocks, right? Okay. Well, why should we believe that? Because what? Because the Globe and Mail report on business says that you should invest in them. Okay? So one conclusion, one premise. Does that feel like a good argument to you? No? Why not, Victoria? Yeah, so there's not really much there, right? There's only one premise, and basically the premise is the conclusion is that you should invest in stocks, and the premise is because they said so. Not a great argument, right? But what if I were to say, that there's kind of a missing premise here, right? An implied one. So what if I added in here that the Globe and Mail report on business is widely seen as a financial authority in Canada, right? Then I'm basically saying, you know what? The Globe and Mail, they know what they're talking about, right? They understand finance in Canada, right? You can believe them, right? They know what they're talking about. So that kind of helps it out, right? Because then we can say that investing in stocks is a smart move. Why should we believe that? Well, because the Globe and Mail says that it's a good thing to do, that you should do it, and that the Globe and Mail really knows what they're talking about, right? They're experts in finance in Canada, right? That's kind of does that feel like a better argument, Victoria? Yeah, it feels a little stronger than because they said so, right? That's not a great one, but still we can add to it. We can definitely add to it. Let's look at number 3 here. When Joseph takes the bus, he's always late. And today, he's taking the bus today, so I'm sure he is going to be late. What are we being asked to believe here? That he, not quite. You've got a bit of a mix of things there. He's going to be late today? Yeah. Yeah? That's what you said? Yeah. So, yeah, Joseph here is going to be late today, right? That's the conclusion. Why should we believe that? Right. He is always late when he is taking the bus, right? And today, what's happening? Taking the bus, right? So we're being asked to believe that Joseph will be late today. Why should we believe it? Always late on the bus, and today on the bus, right? Simple argument. Number 4 is kind of outdated now because we don't just have iTunes, we have streaming platforms, and things sometimes go right to a streaming platform and they're awesome, and so this doesn't make a lot of sense, but we'll go with it anyway. Wow, this movie is on iTunes, but it was never even shown in theaters. It's not a good sign when a movie goes straight to iTunes without being shown in theaters. Must be pretty bad. What are we being asked to believe? What's that? Movie's bad, right? This is a bad movie. Why should we believe that? Went straight to iTunes, never shown in theaters, and right. And when that happens, not good, right? So we've got 3, maybe 2, maybe 3 premises, depending on how you want to cut it up. This is a bad movie. Why should we believe that? Went straight to iTunes, never shown in a theater, and when that happens, when things go straight to iTunes, they're usually bad movies, right? Last one here. No one should buy a beer that is brewed in the United States. Old Guzzler beer is brewed in the United States, so no one should buy it. So it might be a little trickier, but what are we being asked to believe here? Do not buy Old Guzzler beer. Okay, why should we believe that? Because it was brewed in the US, and no one should buy beer brewed in the US. That's actually true, by the way. So here we have a very simple argument, but it's kind of tricky because the pieces are in different spots. But yeah, do not buy Old Guzzler beer is what this argument is pushing for, right? Why should you not buy Old Guzzler? Because it's brewed in the United States, and no one should buy a beer that is brewed in the United States, right? Also, that is a horrible name for a beer. It sounds gross. Like, I can almost smell it from here, and it's disgusting, so bad naming. Get your branding organized, you guys. Okay, so 3 very simple arguments, okay? Or 5 very simple arguments. How are we doing with this? Does this feel okay? Are we kind of putting this together? Okay. Let's take a little break. When we come back, I will, I'll show you a few more examples, and then we'll talk about that agricultural revolution thing that I was talking about yesterday, okay? So a little more critical thinking, and then a little agricultural revolution. Okay, quick break. Okay, people. Ready? So, I think what I'd like to do here at this point is to go back to this. I'd like you to create an argument of your own. So you can talk to people around you, or you can do this on your own. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to come up with your own argument. Okay? I'd like it to have a conclusion, because if it doesn't have a conclusion, it's not an argument. And I'd like it to have at least 2 premises. If you can come up with 3, great, but at least 2. It can be on anything you want, right? So I made up an argument on coffee. It can be about movies or video games or politics or food or whatever you want, right? Whatever you want to talk about doesn't matter to me, as long as you can come up with an argument that has a conclusion and maybe 2 premises, and yeah. Okay? So just take 5 minutes. I'll restart the clock for you here. Come up with your own argument. You can work in pairs or with other people if you want, or you can just do it on your own. Totally up to you. Go for it, okay? I will walk around and spy on you, because I actually don't like to be sitting in my chair the whole time, but Start with something that you think is true, or that you feel, or that you believe, and then try to sort it. Okay, great. Great conclusion. Yeah, the thing you believe, or the thing you want others to believe. Something you might want to convince somebody of something. We should all have a 4-day work week rather than 5. 3-day weekends. I could be convinced of that. Doesn't have to be, deep, thought-provoking, I've talked about coffee, who cares, right? As long as you can do this. All right, people. Time's up. Let me hear what you got. So, I feel like this group in the front here has something. What do you got?
You should ban TikTok.
Okay, or sorry, online people, if you want to put your arguments in the live chat, that'd be great. So, the conclusion here is that we should ban TikTok. Why? It's become a pillar of our society. Why should we ban TikTok?
Because TikTok is giving out false information sometimes.
Okay, so sometimes TikTok is responsible for allowing people to spread false information. Okay, good. What's another premise? Sometimes it contains inappropriate content, right? And do you have a third one?
Can distract student while studying.
Sure, right? It's kind of addictive, right? Just kind of scrolling through one after the other, right? So it's distracting to people, it's distracting to students. Don't we all have better things to do, right? Okay. So we've got three premises there. Let's kind of have a look at this, right? So we should ban TikTok. It spreads, first of all, because it spreads false information, right? Is that true? Sometimes. Sometimes it's true. Not 100%, but sometimes. Is that a reason why we might want to ban it?
Yeah.
Maybe. That's a...
Like parents don't like their child to watch those kind of people, so I think like you should ban it.
Yeah, so that's a question, right? The misinformation thing, that's a complicated question, right? But maybe we'll leave it for now. What was the second one? It was inappropriate content, right? We should ban TikTok because some of the content is inappropriate. Is that true? Is that a true premise? Yeah, some of that is some is inappropriate, especially for younger kids who might watch it, right? Is that a reason why we might want to ban TikTok? Yeah, right? Again, this is a complicated question, right? The banning of a social media app is a big thing, but let's just keep it simple for now. And the third one is that it's distracting students from their studying. Is it true that TikTok is distracting? It's not distracting? It's distracting? Okay, it doesn't distract Mike, but other people it does, right? So some people are distracted by it, some people aren't, but it can be very distracting and it could distract kids who are trying to study. Is that a reason why we should ban it? Yeah, maybe, right? So this is a good argument, right? But it's connected to a lot of bigger concerns, right? So I would say that all your premises are true, and they're logical support for your conclusion, but it's, there's some gray area, right? It depends on what you believe about a number of things, but it's a good argument, right? It's absolutely a good argument, especially for just starting out. Do we have another one? Maybe that people want to suggest? Victoria and Mahmoud? Okay. What's your conclusion? Like cigarettes or marijuana? Okay, so the conclusion here, hopefully people won't like take my YouTube out of context here, but the conclusion here is that everyone should smoke marijuana. Okay? Why should we believe that? It stimulates the mind. Okay? Okay, so other cultures do it too. Okay, and so appears to be some kind of medicinal value to marijuana. Lots of people take it for pain management and other things. Okay? All right. So the conclusion is everyone should smoke marijuana. First one was because, sorry, what was the first premise? Oh, it stimulates your mind. Okay. Is that a reason why someone might smoke marijuana? Stimulate? Sure. People would drink coffee to stimulate their mind, so why wouldn't they smoke this stuff, right? Is that true? Is it true? Smoking marijuana stimulates the mind? Well, it definitely does something to your mind, right? I don't know if it makes you sharper or not, but it does something. Yeah? It does change the way you feel and the way you kind of think. Okay. What was the second one? Other cultures, right? Is that true that other cultures use marijuana? Yes, it is, right? Some other cultures do. Is that a reason why we should smoke marijuana? Okay. Oh, okay. So maybe we could change this premise, and we could say other cultures seem to benefit from the use of this, right? So is that a reason why we might want to use it as well? Maybe, right? If other people are seeing a benefit, then if we want that same benefit, then maybe we should do the same thing. Maybe, right? The third one, we should smoke marijuana. What was it? Because it's right. It seems to have some healing properties, right? It seems to help people with pain management and so on. Is that true? Seems to be, right? Is that a reason why we might want to smoke marijuana? Okay, so there's a distinction there, right? But maybe just to keep things simple, we won't complicate it. But you're very right. Okay, so do we have a decent argument here? I think so, right? The premises seem to be mostly true. They're all logical reasons why someone might want to smoke marijuana. Just like with the coffee one, there's a lot of other things that we could point out about marijuana use and take issue with the argument. But the argument is good on its own, right? It's a logically supported conclusion, and the premises are reasonably true, right? I'm good with that. We have an online here. So Arya here says, augmented reality is a proven method for teaching kids new concepts in a fun and creative way. Okay, so Arya, I'm going to modify your conclusion just slightly, and I'm going to say that teachers should consider using augmented reality. Yes. I think that's like a virtual reality thing where you use goggles and it takes you through certain lessons and things like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, so Arya explains here, so which leads kids to experiment with AR goggles and guide them in creating food and experiments. Oh, is it true? Yeah, I think there is, so this isn't so much an argument as a question, but yeah, I mean, there is experimentation with augmented reality in teaching situations. You have to have, if you're going to have 30 AR headsets in a room, you need to have some money for it. I think it's probably got some value, but a lot of money and development would go is and would need to go into it. But I think it's probably useful. Any other arguments that we had? Using a cell phone is what? Oh, okay. Using the cell phone in the classroom is permissible? Like you should be allowed to? Okay, so we should be allowed to use our cell phones in class. That is the conclusion. Well, why should we believe that? Okay, so the phone is useful for doing research in the in the middle of class. Very true. What else? To reduce the stress? Okay. How does it do that?
You can more just use the phone, pay more games.
Oh, so you can. Okay. Let me see. Okay. What can we do with this premise? Um, well, you're not wrong, right? Because I think that phones are a way for people to mediate stress, right? And I think a lot of people do it if they're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. They just pull out their phone and start scrolling through Instagram, right? Or TikTok, right? And it distracts you a little bit, right? You're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling anxious about something. You look at TikTok and you're like, okay, and you forget about it a little bit, right? It distracts you from what you're doing. So let's put that in there. It can help students to relieve anxiety. Let's just say that for now. Okay. Okay, so the phone can be a tool for students to interact with each other during the lesson. Okay? All right. So the conclusion is cell phones should be allowed in class. The first premise was that it helps you it allows you to do research during the class. Is that true? Is that a reason why we might want to use phones in class? Okay, good. Second one is the anxiety thing. So is it true that using a phone during class can relieve a little bit of anxiety? I think so, right? Like I think people use their phone for that purpose, and I could see someone using their phone in class for that purpose. So I think that's reasonably true. Is it a reason why cell phones should be used in class? Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe there's something that's urgent, and if you don't have a phone, you can text you, so you can no one can play
Yeah, like it's become a ubiquitous part of life, right? We don't really go anywhere without our phones, right? I'm surprised Apple and Samsung haven't made them waterproof yet, so people can bring them in the shower, right? But I assume that's the next step. I assume the next thing they'll find out is that we can make them waterproof, and then you can scroll while you're having a shower. Yeah, or if you're at the pool, right? You can swim around. Yeah, they're everywhere, right? And so, yeah, it's hard to get people to put them away during class when they're so used to having them at all other points, right? But this is an interesting premise because part of the premise is that it distracts you, right? If you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed or stressed for some reason, you can look at your phone and be distracted, right? But that distraction kind of takes you out of what's happening here, and maybe it causes more anxiety, right? When I say, King, why aren't you paying attention? Why are you looking at your phone? Right? And then there's more anxiety, right? So that one's kind of a double-edged thing, right? It's true, right? It's a true premise, and it's a reason why someone might look at their phone, but it also might cause more anxiety too. But we'll give that premise a pass, right? Because it is true, and it's a reason why someone might use a phone during class, 100%. Third premise was it helps students communicate during. Okay, is that true? Yeah, phones are good for helping us communicate, 100%. Is that a reason why we might use our phone in class? To communicate with other students? Yeah, right? Texting your friend across the room, God, this is so boring. When is he going to stop talking about critical thinking? I'm so hungry.
If like a student is talking to the student.
Yeah, why isn't it lunch yet? Is he ever going to end this?
Never.
Never. So, yeah, okay. So, I think this is a good argument, right? It's all the premises logically support the conclusion, and all the premises are true, right? I might take a little issue with Kang's second premise, but for the, for the purposes of this thing, nailed it. Right? Nailed it. Any others? Okay. Water's the best drink? Okay. You're going to have to really sell this to me, Yo-Ya. I think water is something you bathe in or swim in, and that's it. No, I'm just kidding. But let's hear what you got. Okay. So the first premise is that water doesn't really include anything that's unnecessary, right? No caffeine, no sugar, no other crap. Right? Good. What's the second premise?
We can be easily you're in your workplace.
Sure. Water is widely available, right? It comes out of every tap. There are water machine things all over the place. Widely available. Good. Do you have a third one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It shouldn't be getting fight.
Say that again?
It shouldn't be getting fight.
It shouldn't be getting.
Getting fight.
Oh, it doesn't, like, it won't make you fat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so there's no added, I guess this is similar to the first one, but also different. Yeah, there's no calories to water, so you can drink as much as you want, and you won't gain weight. Okay. First premise was that water doesn't contain any unnecessary crap like sugar or caffeine or anything else. Is that true? Yeah. Is that a reason why you might want to drink water? Yeah, right? Good. The second premise is that water is widely available. Is that true? Yes. Is it a reason why you might want to drink it? Maybe. This is a hard sell for this. Is this a hard sell for you too, Felicia? Is this a hard sell for you, drinking more water? That's okay. But yeah, it's nice that it's everywhere, right? So if you're thirsty, usually easy to find water, right? If you go to a restaurant, they'll usually give it to you for free. Yeah, that's nice. Let's see. Third one was that, yeah, like if you can drink as much as you want, but you won't gain any weight. Is that true? Definitely. Is that a reason why you might drink water? Maybe. Right? If you're trying to maintain your weight, or if you're trying to lose some, it's probably a better choice than Coca-Cola, right? So, yeah, I think that's true enough. Yeah. 3 premises, they're all true, and they all logically support the conclusion. Good. Good. We're nailing this. We are nailing this. Any others?
You should get 4 days for working, for studying, and 3 days for holiday.
Okay, let's create an argument for that. We should have a 4-day work week, 3-day weekends. Okay, why should we believe that? To increase the quality of.
Working or studying.
Okay.
You get more rest, so you are more productive.
Oh, okay. So because you have more rest, you will be more productive on those 4 days than you are on 5. Okay, good. Why else should we do that?
It's too short for like 2 days weekend.
What's that?
It's too short for only 2 days of weekend.
Okay. Why is it too short? 2 days. Okay, so 2 days is not enough rest, right? You're exhausted on Friday, you're still recovering Saturday, and then you wake up on Sunday and you're like, crap, I got to go to school tomorrow. right? And it's like the whole thing starts all over again, and you barely had a second to breathe, right?
If you get 3 days, it's the weekend. You
Yeah.
can go for travel for just 3 days.
Okay. So I guess we could wrap this up in that 2 days is just not enough, right? It's hard to kind of properly relax and unwind in only 2 days. Okay. Can we come up with a third one? It's more motivational. Ah, okay. I think that might fit under the first premise that you're, what do we say? You're more fresh, or what do we say? More productive, right? More productive, more creative, more fresh while you're at work or school in those 4 days,
I
right?
think like if you get only 4 days from working,
Yep.
it have to grow the economy. Because if you're only working for 4 days,
Yep.
and yeah, 3 days is going to like you don't need to work.
Yep.
Like other people who have jobs right now and build it up, and they also get salary, and they encourage the economy.
Okay, so it might actually allow for more people to enter the workforce, right? Because that extra day that you're not working, maybe somebody needs to, and so more people can get hired, unemployment rate can go down. Sure, good one, right? Anything else? Other premises that we can think of? What's that? If you like Monday?
If you get 3 days,
Yeah.
if you like Monday.
Oh, yeah. If Monday's part of the weekend, then people might actually like Mondays for once, right? Okay. Sure, I'll take that. I'll take that. Maybe one I can throw in here is that there have been studies done on people's kind of productivity, and what you'll see is if you kind of graph it in terms of people's working hours and people's productivity, you'll see that like at a certain point it goes up and up and up, and then it kind of levels, and then it goes down, right? So people can work really, really well and efficiently a certain number of hours a week, but once you get past a certain point, people can't kind of get any more done, right? They start to get worn out, and then if they work even more, their productivity starts to go down. So they're actually getting less done in more time, right? Because again, we're not machines, we're not robots, right? We need rest, right? We need to recharge. And so yeah, we could put that in there as well and say that, actual scientific studies have shown that there is a real limit to human productivity. You can't, if you work 40 hours a week and then you decide I'm going to work 80 hours a week, you're not going to get twice as much done. You're going to get 1.5 amount done because your productivity will decline, right? There's just a point where humans just cannot give anymore, right? They're exhausted, they're distracted, they just can't do it, right? So that's good. All of those are good, right? Because we should have a 4-day work week and a 3-day weekend. And I think, I've kind of forgotten all of our premises now, but I think they're all true, right? Or, maybe some of them are a little bit of opinion. And they're all definitely reasons why someone might support a 4-day work week, right? So that's a perfectly good argument as well, right? Okay, that was good. So I'm going to press pause on that. Tomorrow we'll do a quick review of critical thinking. We'll talk about the agricultural revolution, and then I have an article for you to read. And the article that I have for you to read it'll be a little bit tricky because you'll have to use this critical thinking skill to figure out what the author is arguing, okay? And it might be a little tricky. I'll try to give you some hints along the way as we go, but it'll be a good test of us. I think we've got a good grasp of this, but it'll be a good chance for us to see if we can read an article and actually pull out the argument and figure out what the author wants us to believe and why, okay? But until then, I will let you go to your lunch, finally, You guys have been texting about it. When is he going to stop?
Nothing for work.
Okay, I am going to stop. Good work today. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow where we'll have Friday. All right. See you, people.